Good afternoon, Kris. How are you today?
I'm doing well, and you?
Great, fantastic. Thank you very much, in first place, for taking the time to talk to us about how you use the social media to explore new ways to expand your business and your projects. But before we get into that, we would love for you to tell us a little bit about you. What's your name? What do you do these days? And what are your projects?
Okay, so my name is Kris Ward, and I was in business, still am, with a marketing and branding company for about 12 years. And my story, backing up for a little bit, is I was in business, I would say about 4 years, and I looked around and I thought, oh my gosh, it does not seem to be slowing down. I'm working so hard. And I just thought, like, wow, I can't keep this up for another 10 years. I was working insane hours, nights, evenings, weekends, rushing all kinds of stuff. So I thought, wow, I need to make some changes. So I started to really examine how I could be the most effective with my time so that I could, work reasonable hours and really execute projects and start to have some balance in my life, because I was starting to really look run down and beat up. And I really started to examine everything I was doing with a fine tooth comb to really look at, how can I leverage my time and really bring my best game to my work and to my clients and still have balanced and full life, because I felt that my work was supposed to support my life, not consume it. So I started to really examine all that, and bit by bit really make some big changes and really examine like the most successful people in the world and their gifts and how they were able to execute such large projects. And I really started to see results, and things really started to turn around for me. And luckily they did, because a couple of years after that, my husband was diagnosed with colon cancer, and it pulled me away from my work for almost 2 years. And going from, like, in my early years about working 16 hours a day, I was really now working like 6 hours a week. And when I returned to my business, because he did eventually pass away, when I returned to my business, not only had it survived, but it was thriving because of the principles and strategies that we had in place with Win the Hour, Win the Day. So when it became public, my clients had no idea, and they just could not believe I could run on that efficiency, that they, had no idea that I was away so much from the office, and yet everything was getting done. And so then they started asking me, delicately, how did I put that in place? And excuse me. So I started working with them, and what was interesting, I was able to help them get their lives back and start attending their kids' soccer games and starting to take vacations for the first time. And they also commented that they were making more money than they had before, and were working less hours. So it was really an evolution, and that's what resulted in the book Win the Hour, Win the Day, because then I took those practices and I thought, I would want everyone to have a full life. And so I thought I could help as many people as I could with the book.
That's excellent. Well, first of all, let us say we're really sorry about your husband. We didn't know that side of your story. We also very appreciative of the way how you decided to put everything together to show how to come back from all that and put that sort of tools for everyone to use, because as you mentioned, you started studying successful people and see how they're been doing it, so just to copy that blueprint. And I found the same thing, and personally I went to that same rabbit hole where I decided to, wait a minute, what I'm doing is not working. Let me find out the people that is doing what I want to do successfully, start reading about their life and how they go to that. And you start finding out there is a lot of similarity within people and even within times, in like the many years ago, currently, or even centuries ago. is sort of a blueprint that the success brings. So it's like they say, success leaves clues. You just have to follow them, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that really interesting and resonant with you in that regards. So then moving forward, now that you managed to put all your ideas into a book and within your clients, when came that moment that you decided to go into the social media to promote this, or you use the social media as a tool to spread your message? That was some time ago, you've been doing it for a while, or just recently you started using that as a tool?
Well, that's a great question. When I was running my marketing branding company, and that was like 12 years ago I started. So social media was a much smaller tool. 12 years ago now seems like 30 years ago as far as social media goes, right? So we were doing stuff on Facebook, and I was, getting into LinkedIn, which a lot of people didn't understand and were not navigating it well. So I was using it regularly, but I wasn't using it to the impact that we're using it with my book. And I think for me, I really struggled. If I had something that we did something cool, I might put it up on Facebook or something like that. But I was fine at going to do local TV shows or doing public speaking gigs. I could do that. But I struggled with social media because I felt like people were walking by and now I'm tugging at their sleeve to get attention. So I wasn't good about the clarity of my message in social media. And now, because I felt like I had a really important message with the book, I really had to, double down and take a look and really be sincere and committed to my social media strategy, which that in itself, I had to use my book because all of a sudden, now I have to get these videos every day and these posts, and that could take all day. So I really used the tactics and the strategies that I talk about in Win the Hour, Win the Day, in order to take this whole new piece, this whole new demand on my workday and my load and my team to execute a consistent message on social media. So I do think it's a very valuable tool, but people that are experts in social media say you definitely have to have a strategy, and I agree with that. But before you even do that, you have to have a strategy with your time, or else it's going to be something you pick up on Monday and then you get busy and you do another one on Thursday and then you miss a week, and that just can't be. It's really about consistency, right? So that's, the biggest thing. Consistency is everything. And so again, I would tie it back to the strategies and Win the Hour, Win the Day. But it was something I had to be really committed to, because I think we all struggle with, well, who cares, what I'm doing in my work? Everybody else is out there doing stuff. So it's really hard to put yourself out there. But once you do it and you execute a plan, it gets easier and easier. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about there.
Yeah, that is great. And actually, I love the focus that you put on time and time management, because I came to realize also that we have so many activities and so many tasks that we do, but we don't take priority of the important things. And then we find out that a lot of our energy is divided into many tasks that are not really important to our main goal. If we actually find the tasks that align to our goal and we focus our time on that one, we can be more effective and more practical. And then also how you translate that to the social media. And for what you tell me, and for the conversation I had with other people that have been successful with the social media, that's their focus. They first provide value to the public, provide information, good content in a consistent manner.
Yeah.
And then that way the communities are growing organically to a point where you don't have to offer your service to the community. It's a community that comes to you, requesting for further information, further time of you, and further advice. So I guess intuitively you have put in place like the strategy that actually most successful people are using for the success in the social media and grow that community.
Yeah, I mean, you make some really good points, because the social media stuff can be very overwhelming, very time consuming, and also you really do have to stick your neck out there. So it's sometimes really hard to be like, you want to just be busy doing the work, and you think, oh, now I got to stick my face out there and talk to people when I really could be over here doing the work. So, back to the whole strategy with win the hour, win the day. The number one thing is most people were not taught any aspect of time management. It doesn't matter where you went to school. You could be at like some big, getting your PhD or some academia, but you're going to have 7 different professors. They're going to give you a lot of work, and they're not going to integrate it with the other 6 professors. So no one ever really taught you how to manage constant rotating deadlines and new projects and existing client base. And then to add social media on top of it, it's hugely overwhelming. Absolutely. So what I would say is, in order for anything to succeed, you first have to have some fundamentals in place. And I also would say that one of the things we hear a lot about our book, Win the Hour, Win the Day, is that it's very easy to implement strategies you can put in place today, because there's a lot of really heavy systems out there with time management, and that itself seems like more work. You're like, but I had one person say to me, by the time I implemented all that big system, even the stuff I put off and procrastinated, I could have got that done. So I get it's heavy, but if you're going to take on all this stuff, you do need to have some simple strategies in place that can allow you to take on more and more work, because even if you're consistent and you get that out there and you improve your message and you do more and more stuff in social media, that's only going to create more and more activity. Now, more and more people are going to connect with you. More and more people want your product. Now you have to create a new product because the last product went well. So it just grows. And in theory, that's what you want. You want it to grow, but the growing means more hours every day. So it is really important. Social media, no one's going to come and knock on your door and find where you live or where your office is and ask for your product. So you really have to have a consistent, crafted social media strategy in place. But for that to succeed, you really have to be able to navigate your day in a way that allows you to be creative and calm and have clarity and get work done.
Yeah, that's great. I really resonate with your message because it's so important, especially in these days. Just going backwards a little bit in the sense of analyzing your experience back in the days and currently, especially in the marketing side of things, comparing the reach that you will have with the what we could call the old paradigm, the media and TV or news press or magazine, with the reach that you may have now with the use of the social media tools or the platforms that the technology provides. If I would imagine the reach is much bigger worldwide, while before more localized. But I would prefer you to tell us about that in your own experience, your thoughts in that regards.
Oh yeah, for sure. So you really, before social media was an effective strategy, you were really limited to your town or your city or the next town or city, right? And now you're limited to time zones. Like I might have a webinar and say, okay, it'll be at 2 because I have to think, well, England's 6 hours ahead of me, California's 4 hours behind me, so I have to make sure that it's not too late or too early for somebody else. But I'm in Canada, and I probably have more customers now, clients in the US than I do in Canada, because it really doesn't matter. We're meeting, you and I, we're not in the same room. So it really does allow you, like the world's such a big place. So if you want 50 new clients, that's really achievable when you're talking about the planet, but it's not
Exactly.
it's not so achievable when you're talking whatever town you live in. Like, how do you have 50 businesses in your town? Are they the type of businesses you want to work with? Do they need your service? So it really is an exciting and great time to be in business.
Yes, no, definitely. On that note, then, once you started developing or projecting yourself in the social media, or you got surprised about the result, about the feedback you've been receiving from the people, or you're still in that grinding process of trying to get momentum? If you can tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Did you say grinding? Because I don't.
I say hard work.
Oh, because yeah. What I mean by that is that's the number one principle in Win the Hour, Win the Day. Nothing should be that hard. You shouldn't have to grind it out, right? And that's a word that most small business owners, it's almost like small business means grinding in Latin, right? And what I want to always correct people is if you're doing it right, you shouldn't have to grind it out. So what I would say though is everybody has a message, and you think, let's say, in my case, there's really some amazing results if you learn how to use your calendar. So most people, the calendar was invented in like 1582, and there's like some really simple strategies that can really execute your productivity if you know how to use your calendar. And that's the difference. The most successful people in the world, they see time differently. They just look at it differently. We all tend to worry about money, but the calendar, they look at the calendar differently. Now, when I started trying to get my message out, I just wanted to educate people on all this stuff about the calendar and throw all this information at them. But that doesn't help them with, they don't even think the calendar is a problem. They think they need more time, or they have to get caught up, or so they see their problem as different. I may think have the answer, and I may have the answer, but they see their problem as different. So what I find with social media is when you start putting information out and content out consistently, then you're going to get feedback from your audience, and you're going to go, they don't care about the calendar right now because they don't quite get the problem. So I need to be over here, and I need to be talking to them about, listen, if you think getting caught up is the answer, how many years have you been saying that? So I need to sort of massage my message, and I find social media a great place for that, because every day somebody will ask you a question, you're like, see, I kind of thought you already understood that, or that you knew that, or I didn't know that was a fear of yours. So then you get more information and you give a better and better and better message. So social media is a really great place to improve your messaging and clarify your content and get feedback and connect at a deeper level with your audience.
Yeah, that's excellent. As you mentioned, you can test your theories and see where your message is getting to the people or not by the feedback that you receive from them. And yes, as you mentioned, in regards to the problems of time and focusing too much on money, it's a change of paradigm, a way of thinking that we need to fix within ourselves to actually see the problem with different eyes, and not to focus on what we think that is a problem, which is not, but step back, change the mindset, and focus on the root of the problem, which is actually our time management and how we invest our time. Because everyone is talking about investing money, managing your money, your finances, but no one put that into practice with time, which is your most precious commodity and the most scarce resource that we have, which is our time, isn't it?
It is. And here's an example. Everybody will say, okay, you look at your bank account and you say, all right, I get my phone bill every month. Say it's $200. So you know it comes out. But somebody with their calendar, I hear this all the time in small business. They'll say something like emails. They'll be like, okay, I don't have it on my calendar because I know I have to answer emails every day. I just do it when I can and all that stuff. And so what happens is there's things that you do every day that you don't put on your calendar. So you might think that you have 8 or 10 hours in your day, but in fact, by the time you list those few things that you have to do every day, you might have 4 hours. So that would be like, you don't get to not count bills like your car payment, your phone bill, because it comes out every month. Oh, don't worry about it. It comes out every month. I know it. But that money's gone, and that time in your calendar is gone. And worse than that, it's very confusing to your mind when you think, well, I got 8 hours today and I didn't get it all done. Well, and then you put more work on tomorrow and the next day and the next day. But in fact, each day you only had 4 hours. So you're not counting where that time is going. And so you can't improve what you don't measure. But more importantly, you just bury yourself. And yet we focus on every little penny we spend, but we don't focus on where the time goes.
Yeah, exactly. And that time that we invest, it gives us the best ROI on time.
Yeah.
Like if I invest 5 minutes or 1 hour on this activity, what's the return I'm going to get for that activity back from that time I'm investing in different tasks or different situations that we put ourselves in? Yeah, that's a really important message that you are providing to the community. And in that point, you are focusing with this message or this project that you're trying to get this message across within your community. You mentioned you're in Canada and you have a lot of people in the US, but you're trying to expand or to other frontiers, or you just focus it locally, you provide advisory online or personal? How does that work?
Oh yeah, for sure. I I don't care where they are. I'm here to help businesses. And to get the best use of my time, it's almost always virtual. I do not usually meet anyone one on one. There's no reason to. Not only does it take time to get in my car and drive nearby, even if they were close, but more importantly, when I'm at my computer and they have a question, often I will have the answer, like I can show them something on my computer. If we're doing it virtually, I can say, oh, let me show you an example. Where if I'm sitting in their office, I've got an iPad or a pen and piece of paper, so my resources are less. So, and then I can say, oh, I have the link for that. You should try this. And I can send it to them right there. So for me, there's no reason to meet with them other than virtually. I would always meet with them virtually. And because of that, I can work with anybody around the globe.
Yeah, that is fantastic because you actually show that these days with the technology we have available is actually we can be more efficient
Yep.
connecting through the net to online than actually being physically in person. Although other people will argue that sometimes the human contact is necessary, but for the type of information that you're providing, maybe that's not as important as being able to provide information at the moment as you
But
do.
But what's human contact? Because the human contact, when I'm looking at their face, I can look at them, I see them. So the only human contact we're missing is a handshake or a hug. You know what I mean? So we can give a virtual high five, but the human contact is still there. I'm looking at your face right now. So
Yeah.
there's expression and there's interaction. And so, for all intents and purposes, if we were sitting in the same room, we would be across the table from each other, and now we're sitting and you're on your computer on mine and I'm looking at you. I'm not against human contact, but it's really not relevant in this situation, I think.
Yeah, no, completely agree. Actually, that you mentioned that we can see each other's faces because most of the communication is visual, but
Yeah.
then the technology allows to have that visual and be able to communicate that way and absorb that part of the information that we provide within our gestures. So you're focusing, you mentioned that your clients are businesses, but you have personal clients that they want to manage their personal time as individuals, not as businesses?
No, I tend to deal with, I mean, the book you can definitely apply it to because the strategies are very simple and easy. And there are some tools in place that you actually do use in your personal life. You just don't know how to transfer them to business. But we tend to deal with businesses that have been in business, I would say probably 3 to 5 years, that kind of know who they are and they have got the business down pat, but now they have all these projects they want to get to. They don't want to be running on the same treadmill. Like, okay, the business is surviving, but now I want to get to the next level. I want to execute these projects, and they don't know how to do it because running the business or doing their social media is taking all their time. So we tend to deal with people that have been in business a few years, and that's the area we focus on.
Yeah, that's excellent. Yes, because that's a critical point within especially startups and businesses that are starting when they get to that point that they're going to be scalable. They
Yeah.
don't manage to manage that region well, and it's when the failures come because of lack of management of those strategies as you
Yeah.
mentioned. So that's very important. So I would recommend anyone in that position to get in contact with you to get some advisory in that point. And now moving a little bit with a vision on the future of your project currently, where are you planning to take your project within the next 3 to 5 years? Where do you see yourself in that period of time? If you have think about that, or you just focusing on what you're doing at the moment?
No, we always have plans, and that's a great place to be in. When you can manage your time management, then you can see that what you can leverage. Like, you can take on more and you can be more clear with your goals and get stuff. You can dream stuff up and you can get it done. So right now what we're doing is working on a group coaching program. And so we have a small group and we'll work with people in a group setting virtually online and really give them a customized one-on-one program. While we're launching that, we also have what we call a master class, which is a digital product that people can navigate through and then get monthly support from us. So we're working on that. Win the Hour, Win the Day is part one of a 3-book series. So we'll definitely get the other 2 books out in Win the Hour, Win the Day. And then we have other books that are another series that's coming out. So it's really just to give people as many tools as they can to have fun. Business should be fun. It should support your life, not consume it, right? It should be something that you are always fresh and rested and ready to play and do it. And it should allow you to have a full life and flexibility. And it shouldn't be that grind and all consuming. So we're just there to help as many people as we can.
That's excellent. Yes, I completely agree with you that when you go into business and start something new, it's because you're excited about it, and you shouldn't let that all the mess and things that comes your way ruins that for you. You just need to have the tools in place or the knowledge, necessary knowledge to manage through that, to the little storms that might come your way. But that's part of the fun, isn't it? If you can manage that way, as you mentioned. And now, yeah, to start, sorry, I said something in Spanish. To start now moving to the closure of this interview, so I don't steal too much of your time. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself in the side of? I read one of your last posts was in regards that you're into mountain biking, and that helped you to see some experience of how manage your energy to go from one climb to another, and how do you relate that into the daily life or projects within the business? And if you could talk to us about that, because that's a message that really resonated with me when I saw it on your website.
Oh, good. Thank you. It's a really great question. So what I was talking about is lately I've really got into bicycling, and I was climbing a hill and I noticed a difference in the bike depending what gear or setting or technique I was using. So I knew I'd get to the top of the hill because I have to get home. So I knew I would get there, but how rested and strong would I be when I get to the top of that hill? Because then that energy allows me to get to another hill, right? So the problem with being a really hardworking small business person is sometimes I'll deal with people and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm so determined, I'm going to get it done." And they've been really successful in their life because clearly they had the smarts and the ambition and the insight to start their own business. So they have a lot of assets to what they brought to their own business. But sometimes that can get in their own way because then they think, "Oh, look, I got this far. I can push through and get further." And so what I'm saying is, yeah, I know you're smart. I know you're a go-getter. I know you can do anything. I respect that. But can we make it easier on you? Can we get you there quicker? Can we make it so that it doesn't take up so much energy and you feel zapped? So often the people I work with best they're like, I accomplished a lot. They want to tell me, well, I got a lot done and I was this and that and all this stuff. And like, yeah, you did get a lot done. But let's get more done and have you enjoy the ride a bit more. So then, it was like, oh, I put different gears in place. I get to the top of the mountain. I've got lots of energy to get to the next mountain quicker. So that's really, can you get to where you want to be as a small business? I guarantee you can, because you're smart and you're bright and you got this far. But why not do it with energy to be left over and really just relax and enjoy it and be effective?
Yeah, exactly. Because sometimes we're so focused on that end goal that we don't think that, wait a minute, that's not the actual end goal. Once I get there, there's a lot more further. So let me get there with energy so I can then keep going further. And as you said, enjoy the ride and love the process, like a lot of people say. Well, that is fantastic. Fantastic. We really love the message that you provide with the time management and how to put the strategies in place to actually enjoy the process and be more effective, and always keep looking forward and saving energy for whatever is come next. And so you can do it better and stronger and faster and all those the process that we can think of. So before we go, would you be able to, or could you please tell us where we can find you? What's the best way to get in contact with you so we can find out your information? Well, we know you have the book, but if you can let us know all the different places that you have so we can get in touch with you.
Sure. So you can check out our book at winthehourwintheday.com. And you can get the book in your hands for free if you help us out with shipping. And also there's some free giveaways on that page as well. It's definitely available on Amazon, but you get some freebies on winthehourwintheday.com. And then I think where you and I connected, it's Instagram, which is the Kris, Kris Ward, WARD. So it's the Kris Ward. And you can also find us under Kris Ward on LinkedIn as well.
That is fantastic. I will put all the link for everyone to check out and have easy access to your information. And I will be definitely getting that book because I'm really curious now after talking to you even more about those tools that you provide, because I think it's really important. So thank you very much for that. We want to thank you for the time that you provide us and all the good ideas and messages that you let us after this conversation. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. So it will be on